Hello everyone, and welcome to Surviving Horror, where we go over different games in the horror genre and dissect what is the scariest aspect of each story, in my subjective opinion. The first game I want to discuss is Until Dawn, released in 2015 and developed by Supermassive Games. Until Dawn was the first game that I ever played that truly scared me to the point where I stayed up at night. What made it so memorable for me was because it plays differently than almost every other survival horror game that I have ever played. While other outings in the genre are more in line with traditional games that players may be familiar with, Until Dawn, as well as other Supermassive titles, play out more comparable to an interactive movie, where the choices you make determine how the story plays out through the game as you play as 8 different characters trapped on this snowy mountain. Throughout the runtime, you have to make split-second decisions that result in potential consequences that come into fruition later on due to what the game calls the butterfly effect, which adds to the scariest factor of the game, the fact that you are in charge of who lives and who does not throughout the night. Every single choice you make matters. Even the small choices such as whether or not you take the fast path instead of the safe one, or deciding to throw a snowball at a bird can have major implications on the story as the game unfolds. And the choices of the game become much more important when the evil on the mountain begins to terrify the characters. The game does a great job at keeping you on your toes at all times with several QuickTime events, as well as the brilliant Don't Move feature, forcing you to keep your controller perfectly still for a short amount of time to avoid the danger that could be lurking in the dark. As the night on Blackwood Mountain progressed, the choices that I made for these characters made me relate to them more and more, and it made me want them to survive the night. On my first playthrough, I made several wrong choices when playing as characters like Mike, Chris, and Sam, and the unforgiving story punished me for my mistakes, leaving me with the knowledge that if I had just chosen to run instead of hide, I could have saved that person and been one step closer to getting the ending that I wanted. What makes those choices matter the most is that in many other games, if your character kicks the bucket, you get to retry right away. But in Until Dawn, the story continues no matter what happens, leaving you with the impression that you are responsible for what happens to every character. The only way you can change the outcome is to complete the main story in its entirety. Then you are given the opportunity to go back and right the wrongs of your playthrough. I have gone back to this game several times since my first experience playing it a few summers ago, and every outcome has been different than the one before. The likelihood of someone's first playthrough having the same ending as your second is slim to none, which is what has brought players back to this game for many years. Until Dawn sold over 4 million copies and spawned a remake that came out last year, as well as a movie adaptation coming out in April of this year. If you have played Until Dawn, please let us know what you think of it in the comments below. Check back with us next week as we venture to Mount Massive Asylum. This has been Jake Walker with Surviving Horror.